We all know the channel Star Wars Explained, and we're all under the impression that he's the master at explaining Star Wars. But did you know that Star Wars Explained is actually bad at explaining Star Wars? Now, you might be saying, Melvin, I've been subscribed to Star Wars Explained for years. He explains Star Wars. Star Wars Explained may have some informative videos explaining Star Wars, but when it comes down to the controversial topics, canon breaking, contradictions, bad writing, Star Wars Explained doesn't explain anything. He avoids those topics. On today's video, I'm going to take a deep look at Star Wars Explained's channel and expose him for his terrible takes on the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, his shilling for Disney, and his general lack of effectiveness at explaining Star Wars.
Well, polish my nuts and serve me a milkshake.
One of the many things that bothered me with the rise of Skywalker is the Force dyad retcon. Back in 2017, Rey and Kylo's connection was a Force connection. This was created by Snoke. Star Wars Explained explains this in a 2018 video.
Before it was revealed that Snoke was the cause of Rey and Kylo's connection, the main plan always seemed to be to convince Rey that Kylo could be redeemed in order to lure her to the First Order.
Snoke not only connected their minds, he used this to set a trap for Rey. Rey fell into his trap. This is essential to the plot of The Last Jedi. Yet the Force dyad in The Rise of Skywalker completely ignores this. According to J.J. Abrams, Rey and Kylo Ren were always connected. Given what I just stated with Snoke executing a plan that was essential to the whole movie, how does this retcon make any sense? My only justification for it is Snoke must have been high and only thought he was bridging minds. His dumbass thought he was doing something productive, and it turns out he was just lucky. They were always a dyad, always connected. There's no sense in that explanation either. Disney wouldn't make their villains high. You'd think Star Wars Explained would have a video discussing this. I've reviewed his channel. There was no video discussing the Force dyad and the giant inconsistency it created. He didn't even acknowledge it in his review.
I thought the Force connection between Kylo and Rey evolved in a really interesting way.
He just said that the Force connection evolved. A few months later, he called it an evolved Force connection again.
I was curious to see if Rey and Kylo Ren would still have their Force connections in this movie. I really enjoyed the evolution of the concept in The Rise of Skywalker.
Do I have to explain to Star Wars Explained that the Force dyad retcon means that Rey and Kylo Ren were always a dyad well before the events of The Force Awakens? I have to explain to him that this directly contradicts the events of The Last Jedi? Last I checked, I'm not Melvin Explained. I'm Knights of Melvin. Star Wars Explained should be explaining this. He doesn't explain the Force dyad in one video. The only time Star Wars Explained mentioned the dyad was when the Secrets of the Sith book came out. Star Wars Explained tried to defend the Force dyad, claiming it didn't contradict the rule of two, and he got Melvined. The introduction of the fake news Force dyad changes everything.
And some people are upset that it changes what we know about the rule of two. But I don't think it does.
And I don't think it does. Star Wars Explained is a Disney shill. Star Wars Explained is obviously looking to weasel his way out of bad storytelling. Explained knows it's an inexcusable contradiction. He just didn't cover it because he's a giant Disney shill. He'll explain stupid, meaningless shit to you, but when it comes to the tough topics, Explained performs the dodge and shill technique. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show has been announced for a while. Star Wars Explained talked about it in 2019, and he sounded like someone from the Knights of Melvin. He had concerns about the canon breaking of this show.
Would I be okay with him leaving Tatooine? It's not really my first choice. I would prefer he stay on Tatooine. I guess in my mind, I don't know why he would ever leave, because Luke should be his number one priority now.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, he just stayed there for 19 years, and I never imagined him going elsewhere. I'm not crazy about the idea, but at this point, I mean, who knows? I haven't heard anything about it, and there might be an excellent reason. And if it does happen, I'll just be like, okay, I have to accept that. He left Tatooine, and that's fine. I don't know. I just don't see him going off to face Vader again, at least in my mind. And then you have the whole line with Vader: when we last met, I was but the learner. Now I'm the master. Like, how many times do they have to meet again? I feel like the last time that they met was perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it needs to happen again. So I've heard that this is a very real possibility. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Now, I can only imagine his concerns grew larger over the next 2.5 years. It was rumored Kenobi and Vader were going to be fighting twice. Leia might be in the show. How is Star Wars Explained going to react to all of this? In his review for episodes 1 and 2, Star Wars Explained shilled hard for Disney.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is finally here. This is my review of the first 2 episodes. It takes Bail coming to Tatooine in person to get him to go out in the desert, dig up his lightsabers, and get his butt on a ship headed for Daiyu and Princess Leia. That scene was both completely on the nose and completely perfect.
How was this perfect? That's not how he was feeling 2 years ago.
I will say I wouldn't expect to see Luke, unless it's from afar.
Right.
Kind of like, I don't want to see Luke, I don't think. That would be...
Yeah, that's why I kind of thought no at first to seeing Owen and Beru, because we wouldn't want to see Luke.
That's true.
Get his butt on a ship headed for Daiyu and Princess Leia. That scene was both completely on the nose and completely perfect.
Oh, it's okay. Leia got him off the planet. It makes sense now. No, it doesn't. Leia never met Obi-Wan Kenobi before the events of A New Hope. Her message to Obi-Wan is very formal, not personal at all. She unnecessarily mentions her father. There's no need for any secrecy given the situation. They simply didn't meet. Yet Star Wars Explained took the shilling even further and made a video specifically stating that the Obi-Wan Kenobi show doesn't break canon. #damage control.
Today I'm going to run through some of the most prominent questions I've seen and share my thoughts. I think it's awesome that they met before A New Hope, and I love the way they helped each other grow in the series. Her holographic message is so formal because she's playing the role of a senator. She is delivering a diplomatic speech of passion. She addresses him as general because she is asking him to be a general again.
There is so much bad writing and canon breaking in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. In a later video, everything I love about Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars Sexplained loves Jake Kenobi.
It feels weird to say I like seeing Obi-Wan so broken, but I do. I like that this series went all in on making Kenobi feel the weight of his failure with Anakin. If you're gonna bridge the prequels and the originals, then we should give him a major character arc and challenges to overcome.
Why would he love the action of Obi-Wan burying his lightsaber in the desert?
He tells Nari to stop helping people and to bury his lightsaber in the desert, which is obviously a metaphor for Kenobi burying who he is and his past and his connection to the Force and all of his trauma deep down inside of him.
He says it symbolizes him burying the past. Okay, then why is he still watching over Luke Skywalker? The past, according to Star Wars Sexplained, is in the desert. Sounds like Kenobi hasn't really buried the past, just his lightsaber. And how exactly is he protecting Luke with no lightsaber? Star Wars Explained never explains it. He just shills for it. Any sign of danger that heads toward Luke, Obi-Wan is not equipped to handle it. So how is this good writing? To make it worse, Star Wars Sexplained said this about Vader's real name.
And boy do I love the choice to let Obi-Wan find out Anakin is still alive on screen. It is a little bit of a stretch to think he wouldn't hear the name Darth Vader in 10 years, maybe, but he was literally living under a rock on an Outer Rim planet. It doesn't seem like getting galactic news was his priority, but who cares? If there is a moment where Obi-Wan learns this, I want to see it. Make it part of the story. I am so glad they went this direction.
This may be a more epic way of Kenobi finding out Vader lives compared to Legends, if you have the talent of shutting off your brain, but this is Star Wars Explained. Let me explain to you why Star Wars Explained is bad at explaining Star Wars and is a giant Disney shill. Sexplained clearly mentions he thinks it's stupid. How does Kenobi not know this? Sexplained can't explain it, but who cares? It's not important. We can't do anything to change it, and Kathleen Kennedy pays my electric bills.
It doesn't seem like getting galactic news was his priority.
It doesn't seem like getting galactic news was his priority. His main priority is protecting Luke Skywalker. Yet Obi-Wan Kenobi decides he doesn't need a lightsaber and doesn't need to be up to date on galactic news. It's just not a priority to keep up to date on info that can affect his primary reason for being on the planet, protecting Luke Skywalker. This isn't Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is Jake Kenobi. I've talked about this on my reviews and live streams, how this is negligent. His job is to protect Luke Skywalker. He has done nothing in the past 10 years. He should be fired.
Obi-Wan, you've had 10 years to communicate with Qui-Gon. You failed at that, and you can't protect Luke because you buried your lightsaber in the desert. Kenobi, you're fired.
I, Darth Melvin, explain this on my channel. Star Wars Explained doesn't explain this. If it's too complicated, he ignores it and shills for Disney.
My general impression is an emphatic hell yes. I love the pacing so far, where we might be hitting one new planet every week.
I would prefer he stay on Tatooine.
This is a major 180 from what you thought previously. You were concerned about Kenobi leaving Tatooine. Now you're fully on board him going on multiple planets and all the canon breaking this show has to offer, and you willingly shill hard for the characters.
I loved seeing Leia being exactly who I would imagine her to be as a child. Vivian Lyra Blair crushed it. I love that we saw him in the trailer, and we were like, oh, is he a fellow Jedi in those robes? But he's just a con man. It's perfect casting. He nailed the over-the-top shtick. I feel like that would have been a difficult scene to get right, but it worked very well for me.
Star Wars Sexplained is obsessed with Haja. He has spent more time building up this side character than explaining Star Wars. Talking about the bad writing, calling out the inconsistencies. He is a disgrace to the Star Wars community. This bad explaining of Star Wars continues in episode 3. Obi-Wan and Vader meet again. Vader roasts Kenobi in the fire, and a lot of people were talking. How did Vader just let Kenobi escape? He's afraid of the fire, but isn't his suit fireproof? Why would Vader completely choke and let Kenobi escape? Sexplained doesn't even talk about it.
How will Obi-Wan respond to being burned in the next episode? We'll find out next week. Cutting back to the town, Riva makes her way into the safe house, and I do want to talk about the third sister here.
Moving on, Riva. Let's talk more about Riva. How about Haja? Let's talk about Haja, my new favorite character.
I like everything that's happening with the story, the characters, and the writing. The content is all good.
Liking the story so far. Really, after what you said a couple years ago, after all the canon breaking and bad writing, you like the story so far. I don't buy it. You're a Disney shill. You're bad at explaining Star Wars. In episode 5, we learned that Riva survived being stabbed by Vader. Qui-Gon Jinn couldn't survive, yet a youngling Riva can survive. Star Wars Explained specifically made a video about how to survive being stabbed by a lightsaber.
The answer is basically, be a bad guy. Be a dark side user. Revenge does wonders for the will to live. As a youngling, Riva was stabbed by Anakin, and her hatred and desire for revenge gave her the strength to survive.
Steven, that is so selfish. It's good. Is it? Is it sweet? It's so sweet.
So, his explanation for this is just be a bad guy. Just be a Sith. Do I have to explain to Star Wars Sexplained that Riva is a youngling? She doesn't know how to use her anger and hate. She doesn't know how to use the dark side to survive. She's not a trained Sith full of anger. She's a scared little girl, and she wouldn't just be able to come up with this on the fly using the dark side to survive. This is Star Wars Explained appearing to explain Star Wars. He's not explaining Star Wars. He's shilling for Star Wars. Disney Star Wars.
And that scene with the rocks was sick. Vader gets his butt whooped here, and I love it.
Then, of course, he loves episode 6, the final duel with Obi-Wan and Vader, and just fuck canon, fuck everything. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show is terrible, but you'll never get honesty from Star Wars Sexplained. He is a Disney shill channel that receives Christmas gift baskets.
I don't know why he would ever leave, because Luke should be his number one priority now.
I was too short-sighted to see that Obi-Wan might leave Tatooine to protect Princess Leia, which is an idea that feels so obvious in hindsight.
I still feel foolish for missing it.
Star Wars Explained is a Disney shill. Star Wars Explained is bad at explaining Star Wars. He refused to explain the inconsistent, terrible writing of the Force Dyad on his channel. He clearly had issues with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show before its release, but shilled hard for it, and when it came to explaining Star Wars, he failed. Star Wars Explained is a fraudulent channel. He is bad at explaining Star Wars. He should go back to the name Star Wars Minute.
Hey everyone. I felt compelled to shoot this quick video for you because I was looking over my request history, and you all have requested over 30 Sith Lords for me to do videos on. Now that's fine, but do you know how many Jedi you've requested? 10. Just 10. So, it really concerns me that I think my audience is falling to the dark side.
I am growing stronger in the dark side every day, but I need more knights. Become a knight, subscribe to the channel, join the Knights of Melvin Discord, help plot to take down Disney and all their shills.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.